Okay, let's just begin with the page 100. How to say, not begin. Anyway, let's back to the page 187 on. Now we come to the subtitle called the stages of the insight meditation. I mean, I'm sure, don't forget if you, these few, how to say, if you want to write 100 books, you can write 100 books from there. So, but imagine, this is a good thing why you can read something very short, at least have maybe some crucial understanding of certain thing. All right, next one, want to read that? The stage of insight meditation.
Insight meditation, with the essential work of calming the mind completed, with the attainment of the fourth jhana. The meditator can focus fully on the development of insight and the wisdom that understands the Four Truths. Insight meditation aims at understanding three aspects of the nature of things, that they are impermanent and unstable. Anidya. That they are unsatisfactory and imperfect.
Dukkha. Not dukkha, okay. Not dark. Nothing to do with the dark. Dukkha.
Oh, okay. Dukkha. And that they are not self.
Anatma.
The philosophical nuances of these three terms may be expressed differently in the theoretical writings of various Buddhist schools, but in one way or another, the higher stages of the Buddhist path focuses on the direct understanding and seeing of these aspects of the world.
Okay, next one.
The culmination of calm meditation is the attainment of the state of calm, where the mind rests in complete ease and contentment, either in access concentration or one of the four dhyanas. The cultivation of insight meditation is likewise a state of calm and ease. One of the dhyana was also, according to Sarvastivadin, the state of access concentration. But the difference is that in the final stage of insight meditation, the mind settles not with an abstract concept as its object, but in a direct seeing of suffering, its cause, its cessation, and the path leading to its cessation. There are thus two varieties of concentration. One achieved solely as a result of calm meditation, the other achieved as a result of both calm and insight meditation. The latter may be either ordinary, laukika, or transcendent, lokatara, depending on whether it involves a direct experience of nirvana or not.
No, lokotara.
Oh, lokotara.
Okay. Anyway, let's finish the paragraph. And the next paragraph, who is reading?
The point at which a meditator actively turns to the contemplation of phenomenon as impermanent, suffering, and not self is not fixed either for the ancient manuals or in modern practice. The theoretical models of the path set out in the classical manuals of Upatissa, Buddhaghosa, and Vasubandhu accommodate two basic approaches, one in which the meditator practices the dhyanas fully before turning to the development of insight, and one in which the meditator attempts to cultivate insight with only a minimal basis of calm.
Next one.
Just as the manuals provide various schemata for the stage of calm meditation, also they provide different account of the states of insight meditation. After Buddhaghosa, the tradition worked primarily with a system of seven purifications. Visuddhi, alongside a series of 8 or sometimes 10 knowledges from the North Indian tradition, and especially the writings of
Subandhu
and Asanga. The Mahayana tradition of China and Tibet inhabit a system.
Inherit
a system of 5 paths.
Marga.
magga, and a fourth stage of penetrative insight.
Nirvana Bhavigya. Bhagya. It's all right. Just forget it. Nirvana Bhagya. Yeah.
Nirvana Vadya.
No, Vadya. Nirvana Bhagya.
Which comes to be set alongside a system of 10 levels Bhumi of the Bodhisattva path to Buddhahood.
Okay. All right. Here, we understand the stages of insight meditation. I guess when you say the insight meditation, we must understand what is actually the main purpose of insight meditation. What is the aims? So he said that insight meditation aims at understanding three aspects of nature of things, that they are the impermanent and unstable, or they are the unsatisfactory or imperfect, and they are not self. Okay. And then I guess the other discussion is a little bit about accordingly that based on the sources, it looks like so mostly that you had to finish the 4 dhyana and then you start to do the insight meditation. And of course, you could also have the combination of the two, and even some other meditation menu. We are talking about menu, I mean the ancient ones. And all those menus are actually, you even also find that as far as you have this, the meditator have this, do they have put it here? Like it's, I mean, with attempt to cultivate insight only with a minimal basis of calm, also. Right? And other part is the last paragraph of the subtitle. It's about, so like in a Theravada, please remember this kind of term, because if you learn Buddhism in English, you have to show you're very professional. I'm not necessarily a professional, but please pronounce the Theravada, okay, Theravada. The V you don't have to pronounce as English V, but you could pronounce the W. It's fine because exactly the word in the language you don't have V and W. There's no difference because V usually you have to emphasis on V and W. But to be exact, in Sanskrit or in Pali you don't have the V. They only have the W sound. But of course you can pronounce a V sound. It's nothing wrong. So it's Theravada, okay. And then here. Theravada as a school, in that preserve the Pali language. Now Theravada as an adjective now, or as a person who are follow this school, or you could use it as an adjective. Theravada and put in become Theravadin. Okay. Understand? According to this Theravadin, of course, one of the ingenious persons called the Buddha Gosa, who wrote the meditation manual called the Path of Purification. Actually, his word is primarily on the system called the 7 purification. We are going to discuss about the 7 purification afterwards, the scheme of 7 purification. And then if you follow the other system or other school, and like the Vasubandhu and Asanga and Mahayana tradition, or even like in Tibet also, actually they follow the system called the 5-path system, not the 7 purification system. Okay.
I've got a quick question.
Yes.
Words that are in parentheses, like kukika, lokia, are those different spellings of the same word, or are they, say, the masculine and feminine forms of the English translations? You know how some, like Spanish and French, have masculine versions of words, and like niño and niña?
Yeah.
One is Sanskrit, one is Pali.
Yeah.
First one is
Yeah, but you are right. Actually, in the language first, they do have neutral, feminine, and masculine. But when you put the straw here, it's different. We are not talking about the what do you call that? I don't know. The sex or the what do you call
Gender.
Gender, not about gender. It's about the first one is Sanskrit word. The second is a Pali word. Pali is most of the text in Theravada tradition, and all their texts are now they prescribe or written in Pali language.
And what language is that?
The Sanskrit is the much older language in India. It's like a classical language there.
I've got that. Pali.
Pali,
with
it's
what
believed that actually
culture?
it's from India, but it's believed that during the time, because the Buddha, at least the school of Theravada, they preserve the Pali. They believe that because the Buddha lived in Magadha, is one of the town or one of the city in those days, and in Kosala actually. So the Buddha lived there for 27 years. It believed that those people in those days speak the dialect called the Pali.
Okay.
And then after 200 years, the Buddha passed away, something 200 something, and then the King Asoka have a son. He had many sons, of course. He had one son who became a monk, and then he had a missionary. He went to Sri Lanka, and that's the language he brought it to Sri Lanka. But for that, there's no doubt about that. Yeah. So that's why, in other words, you could say because the Buddha have missionary work for 45 years, but 27 years live in that kind of town. So, and it say that for 27 years at least he was spoken that language. That's why they keep the language rather than the Sanskrit. Yeah. That's how the Pali understand, the Theravada general understand. Okay. But when they put it more, they do it extreme later on. That's how the folk general believe. So they call the Pali as the Buddha language. I think that's a little bit, it's more like a religious kind of, become like a sacred language already. It's not, take it as kind of profane kind, in those what the Buddha used to use a language, but it become a sacred language in against to the Sanskrit language. Right? Okay. All right. So that's why in Sanskrit it's called Laukika and Pali is called Lokiya. Actually, they sometimes they have the same term. Yeah. Like Lokuttara is a Sanskrit. No, Lokuttara is Sanskrit. I was pronouncing Pali. Lokuttara is a Pali. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Yeah. Comment? No? Wow, that's really strange. Okay, good. Let's
I
go.
have a question.
My equals blown.
Can you elaborate more about that? It talk about two kinds of concentration. One achieved solely as a result of calm meditation. The other achieved as a result of both calm and insight meditation. So what's the difference between calm meditation and an insight meditation? I mean the result.
I think, if I'm not wrong, what he's trying to say here is because there was certain, I don't know which way he's talking, but I guess he was trying to say if there's because the so-called, but there's no question about this, the solely as a result of calm meditation. But the other achieved as a result of both calm and insight meditation, I guess he was referring to a certain meditation like Nirodha Samapatti, a kind of stage of the concentration that you require the insight meditation. So I guess, or maybe he was he was saying, I guess, he said that, but but the difference is that in the final stage of insight meditation, the mind settles not with the abstract concept as this object, but in the direct scene of suffering. So, and this kind of thing you can come from both ways, right? And but I don't mean that the Nirodha Samapatti is the only one, but there definitely are other very complicated issue here. I'm not sure. Do you want to elaborate about that? I want to read it Chinese out there.
I think it's trying to say at the beginning, say whether you do calm meditation or insight meditation, you get to a stage of calm and ease and contentment. So whether you practice calm meditation or calm plus insight meditation, you can somewhat achieve that state.
Kind of jhana.
But yeah,
The key is though, it says access concentration, so not necessarily dhyana yet.
Yeah.
It's the stage before
Right.
dhyana.
well, it says one of the dhyanas or the state of access concentration, according to Dhammadipa.
But is it even possible to get into dhyana with vipassana?
Yes.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
That I have no question about that. But then that's another thing. But it just generally, of course, as primarily, well, I mean, this is, of course, is not all the time mentioned in the text. But it's complicated to discuss that because I want to say, well, I think it's yes, but maybe we don't put it that way. That's why I use the word maybe combination of the two. Yeah.
Because there's certain, for example, if you go to Park meditation center, they do not teach you any insight meditation until you've achieved.
Yeah, that is Abhidhamma is like that.
Yeah.
Abhidhamma school certainly, according to Abhidhamma, if it's based on Abhidhamma, we are not here to say about school like in the modern time, but based on the text now. In the text, certainly, if it's based on Abhidhamma system, it's almost maybe indirectly like in the northern school, certain like the Abhidhamma Kosa may have hindered something. But if you look at just purely Abhidhamma, nothing to do with the sutta, certainly the Abhidhamma system is, jhana is a must. Yeah. Even if you look at the history, this is my understanding, when you check in the history, that's the reason why sometimes how they differentiate the two school. In old day, I don't mean nowadays. Nowadays have different kind of name already. Under the teacher name, under this, under that. But in old days, some people, the way how they put it, they will say that that is the technique of the sutra and that's the technique of Abhidhamma. It's very clear when you say that someone using the technique of Abhidhamma, the four jhana is the compulsory. Even though it's not four, but at least the first jhana is a compulsory. But when you say that the technique of the sutta in comparison is more simple. So, but it doesn't also mean they're against jhana, but it just, you could argue that they are much flexible, you could say that way. Okay. And that's also a reason why if you look at those schools, if they are really emphasis on the jhana, they always quote the Abhidhamma, or including the like a Visuddhimagga, the part of purification. But you have to understand actually even to a certain school in Theravada country, I mean those countries that have a, Theravada, not everybody would believe in the part of purification. Yeah. Because they say this is not the Buddha word. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, now if we can go to the scheme of the seven purification. Yeah.
Right, the scheme of the seven purifications. In the system of seven purifications, the first two, purification of conduct and purification of consciousness, are concerned with good conduct and the practice of calm meditation in the manner just described. Together, these two purifications are seen as the roots for the five purifications directly concerned with insight. The first of these is purification of view, also referred to as the analysis of formations. At this stage, the practitioner is concerned with beginning to break down his sense of a substantial self. To this end, he contemplates any given experience in terms of the five aggregates, or the six senses and their respective objects. The purpose here is to impress upon the mind that, when we look at any particular experience, what we find is not a substantial person or being, but just mind and body in dependence upon each other. Like two sheaves of grass propped up against each other, if we remove one, the other falls. But in undertaking this practice, we are warned to be careful. Some may be unresponsive to this teaching, but others may go too far and think that the task is to annihilate themselves.
Okay. Okay, why don't we just read the next one first? Yeah.
Having established a sense of experience as subsisting in the interdependence of mind and body, the practitioner moves on to the fourth purification, that of crossing over doubt. The practice at this stage is referred to as comprehension of conditions. In the previous stage, the practitioner contemplated the interdependence of mind and body in any given experience. Here, he broadens the meditation to take in the past, present, and future. In other words, the practice moves from the contemplation of the particular to the general, and one begins to see that what is in operation is a universal law, the law of dependent arising. One begins to see that just as mind and body are interdependent now in the present, so they have been in the past, and so they must be in the future. One sees that mind and body, although existing, have not been created or brought into being out of nothing by some creator God. Thus, there is no particular beginning to their existence and no end. The law of dependent arising alone is a sufficient explanation of their existence. Direct insight into this process is presented as deeply affecting the meditator. His outlook on the world is profoundly changed. His understanding of the teaching has ceased to be purely theoretical and become a matter of direct experience, which cannot be denied. Thus, the meditator is set to cross over doubt and thereby complete the fourth purification to become a lesser attainer of the stream.
Are you sure that we have to read the next one too? And then, okay, why don't we just finish that first? The meditator now move on to more. Anyone there? So going to read. Yeah.
The meditator now moves on to a more committed and a deeper level of insight practice, in which he contemplates the world as made up of various categories and groupings of phenomena that are all alike impermanent, suffering, and not-self. This results in knowledge based on taking dharmas in groups. From this, he passes on to the contemplation of rise and fall. At this stage, he begins to experience directly a world made up not, as we normally assume, of substantial beings and objects, but of patterns of events rising and falling, coming into existence and passing out of existence. A feeling for the meditator's experience at this stage is well evoked by the images drawn from the earlier text that Buddhaghosa gives in this connection. The world is no longer experienced as consisting of things that are lasting and solid, but rather as something that vanishes almost as soon as it appears, like dew drops at sunrise, like bubble on water, like a line drawn on water, like mustard seed placed on the point of or like a flash of lightning, since in themselves lack a substance and always elude one's grasp, like a mirage,
Conjuring.
Trick, a dream, the circle formed by a whirring vibrate, a fairy city formed of the trunk of a banana tree.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. Yeah, we have time, right? Yeah, actually we do have a lot of time. Okay, so next paragraph, the next experience is profoundly.
This experience is profoundly peaceful, and with it, the mind begins to settle into a state of peace close to jhana. Joined on an earlier list, Buddhaghosa describes the mind and this time as characterized by 10 qualities: illumination, knowledge, joy, tranquility, happiness, commitment, resolve, alertness, equanimity, and significantly, attachment. Because of the presence of the last 3 10 qualities are collectively referred as the 10 defilements of the insight. What is beside here is that
It's being said.
what is inside here is that the mind being so deeply affected by its experience grasped and takes it for the experience of awakening itself. In other words, the practitioner mistakenly concludes that he has reached the end of the path. The text warns that the meditator may live for many years convinced that he or she has attained arahantship. Only when some experience like the arising of strong anger or fear dissuades him or her from this view does the meditator complete the purification of knowing and seeing what is the path and not the path. The meditator then passes to the sixth purification of knowing and seeing the way.
Okay, next one.
So the meditator returns to the practice of the contemplation of the right and goal of Dharma, which had been disposed by the 10 disciplines of insight. Now, like the lion, king of earth, who finds delight not by pulling a golden catch, but only in a free golden the expanse of the Himalaya. The meditator sees delight not in the pleasant rivers of the thing,
Of the sense.
of the sense, form, or formless rest, but only in his three contemplations of the impermanence, suffering, and no self. In addition to knowledge, one of seeing the rise and fall of Dharma, the sixth purification is that to embrace 7 other knowledge, making as in all the knowledge, two of contemplation, completing breaking up of dharmas, 3 of the presence of anger, 4 of contemplating districts, 5 of contemplating the
Disenchantment.
6 of the desire for release, 7 of contemplating with discernment, of equanimity with regard to formations. This sequence of knowledges may be
The sequence, not seconds. This sequence of knowledges.
This sequence of knowledge may be illustrated by the story of man who set out to catch fish.
Okay, let me just read that then. Taking his fishing net, he sank it into the water. When he put his hand into the mouth of the net and seized hold of the snake by the neck, he thought he had caught a fish and was delighted. Thinking that he had caught a big fish, he lifted it out to take a look, but when he saw the 3 marking and realized it was a snake, he became frightened. Seeing that he was danger, he felt distaste for what he had grasped and wished to be released. Devising a way of getting free, he unwrapped the turquoise from his arm, beginning with the tips of the tail, and then raising his arm and swinging the snake around his neck, head 2 or 3 times in order to waken it. He flung it away, thinking, "Begone, damn snake!" Then, without delay, he climbed up the bank of the pool and stood there looking back at the way he had come, thinking, "Goodness, I have escaped from the mouth of the huge snake." Okay. I guess we can have a little comment and discussion here now. That's the scheme, the 7 purification.
My cat had a run-in with my electric toothbrush on the floor of the bathroom, and she thought she was running into a snake, and you should have seen her jump. I mean, same thing, you know. Geez, those snakes are bad. Toothbrush, yeah, watch out.
Okay, the next one is explaining that, right? The next one is explaining the all right. No question?
Well, there's a a lot.
That would be great if no question. Let's go on.
We tried
Come on.
that, but you won't let us get away with that. No questions? We just patiently wait and keep saying no questions. What I've
any
noticed
comment?
is that we've moved from a more theoretical, abstract sort of approach to this. Now we're moving into very concrete images of snakes, fish, bubbles on the water, et cetera, et cetera. What's happening here?
When you see the impermanence, that's what you see. You see the bubbles, and you see the smoke. You see the lightning.
I'm talking more from a perspective of what is the author doing as we're moving from an abstract area. Is he trying to bring very concrete examples to these 10 different qualities, for instance, or just trying to breathe some different images into the text, or is this some sort of technique that you use when you're meditating? Like you said, you didn't have the image of a person, or you said you didn't have the image of Meijun, you didn't have the image of what it was like for those first parts of those meditations, and when you got them, you could move on. Yeah, is that what they're trying to convey to us here? Perhaps use some of these images to move you along in the insight meditation, or am I just off?
Well, I mean, let me see. Okay, just based on what it said here first, I guess. First, actually, it's understand that if we want to complete to what the Buddhist understanding of the importance of the something like called enlightenment, and then according to this menu, then you have to complete the 7th purification. And first 2 purification we discussed already, and because about you must have the sense of morality, and then you must be a generous person, and then you are you have this, you don't commit the wrong kind of moral code. And the second one we also discussed already about that because you can meditate off a jhana, or because you have access concentration. So you have fulfilling the purification of the purification of consciousness, right? Now we discussed that already. Now the rest of the 5 are purely for insight meditation. I guess we talked that already. So when you say that insight meditation, these 5, it's one to say that you have to, the way is you have to take your 5 body, your body, as your object of meditation. Okay, that's why they take the term the 5 aggregates. If you look at the there again, so the 5 aggregates mean you have to able to investigate your physical body, and your mental body. That's to do with your body. That you have the so-called these 5 aggregates, mean the form there. And then, I mean, here they didn't say too much because I don't want to put it in the detail much more. Of course, there's a very complicated topic. Like last time when we read the jhana, I can give you a paper and talk much more complicated thing. But here, then you have to kind of learn how to investigate your body. And then the body involved, and both things. One is your physical body, and one is your mental body. Now, the mental body, you could understand the body. The term body means a group of the mental, you could say, the mental part of it. So, and from there, actually, you somehow started also, not just because you meditate on that, but you could see the response from like your ears, how your ear respond to the sound, how your nose respond to the smell, and so forth. This is what it means by you also have to meditate towards the 6 senses in and their respective objects. So if you look at, but then later on, not just because you're just doing meditation, or just because you know what is body, what is the mental part, how your physical body and your mental respond to any outer object, like when your tongue have some food. Not only this kind of thing, but you start actually understand they are interrelated to each other. That's why he say just the mind and the body independent upon each other. Okay. So once you understand they are upon each other, so you also understand if they're like two shades of grass pop up against each other, if we remove one force. In other words, if even though they're independent, they dependent on each other. However, if one is being removed, the other will fall apart. Now, this is really interesting. It's just want to describe if you want to fulfilling what is so-called the purification of the will, or that means serve as a third purification, right? But that which is directly to do with the insight meditation, and that's the thing you need to go through. And that's the thing you need to practice and go through. And when you come to that point, when you start to see that actually you start to understand how they relate to each other, how they dependent on each other, and how they don't have to be dependent on, they don't have the wrong word. How, when they are not dependent on each other, what's happening? And then this is how then you start to move into the crossing over the doubt, the purification, the so-called the fourth purification. So you're still, but I will put it in my word. It means that time, any object you're observing, you are not purely just observe the object, but you are observe the object with your concept. What kind of concept? The concept that you learn from the purest purification carry with you, that then you see everything are interrelated. So this is why it says crossing over the doubt. If everything is interrelated, then you can trace back that kind of interrelation from the present to the past, to the past, to the past, to the past, to the long past, and to the future and to the past. It is usually believed that if you are a strong meditator, especially if you have jhana, then you supposing you could see your past life. You have to. It's not supposed, you have to. But if you don't have the strong jhana, you don't have to. Okay, that's why the technique could be different. Depends on whether you have a strong jhana or yes. Then you have to go to them, not just because you have to go back to your childhood, but you have able to see your physical and your mental body. You don't attach to it, kind of like. Just I said that the process is going like that. So and then if you have a strong jhana, then you'll be advised to see two of your past life. And this is how, from there, you trace back to your past life. And of course, in the same time, the present life, you could see the future life. Okay? People maybe get confused. It's not very difficult to get confused. For example, so your past life is yesterday. Your present life is now. And your future life is tomorrow. Of course, you might argue, I don't see my tomorrow. That's an arguable thing. Now, here we are not to discuss that because since future is not come yet, you can argue that. But for sure, you still can see something else. For example, if you look at yesterday was your present life, and the day before yesterday was your past life, and today is your present life, is your future life. Mm-hmm. So then you can see there's a lineage there. There's a link there. Right. Your yesterday influenced your yesterday, and your yesterday influenced your today. Mm-hmm. Then of course you might have a doubt. So that's just because yesterday. How about day after before yesterday, and blah 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 blah. Then you find actually the link together. Then you somehow come up with understanding they are interrelated, or your life, your karma, you could say that they are actually all interrelated. Now.
When you say that the jhana allows you to see your past lives, when I come to that, I think, before I was born in the United States as me or not me, whatever. But and then I think, my past life when I was born, I don't know, 100 years ago, as maybe I don't know, a ladybug, say.
Okay.
I just
okay, just say that. Okay, yeah.
Just a ladybug. So, so when you say past life, and in the context of jhana, are you talking about your past life as you've lived your current physical body? I guess would be a good way to define it.
Yeah.
Or,
no, the past life first you learn the past life is always you need to trace back to this life in your past. Okay.
Is that so hard?
It is hard because, for example, you need to. That's why I say depends on your jhana. If your jhana is good, and because when your jhana is good, your mind is much clean and clear. You don't have much diversion idea. And of course, in other words, your mind was so happy, you could stay for meditate for a long time. And also, like, there's some other power there I don't want to say. Because this is why you need to learn your jhana. And say the jhana, you can develop the divine eyes and so forth. So, if you have a jhana, you develop a divine eye, you can see yourself much clearer. If you don't have a jhana, you don't develop divine eye, you can only think about what's happening, right? There's a different. Okay, let's forget this kind of topic. I just want to say, this is I mean, because this is not one day you can finish all the thing. This is, as I say, you can write 100 books there. Now, I just want to say, generally mean, it's believed there are two things you need to practice, if it according to this passage. That one way is that you have to remember your past. For example, now you need to remember your yesterday, day before yesterday. You need to rewind at least 3 to 4, 5 months. At least 1 week in detail. Okay, let's say now you sit there, just meditate and remember yesterday on like a rewind, right? Rewind back. Before you come here, you were here, and when you went to bed, maybe you don't remember your dream, but you just rewind. You did that maybe half day, tired now. Like in meditation, sometimes you get tired. Oh, you have a drink and eat, you take a little rest, and come back to, again, you rewind again. Then the second one you rewind again, you definitely clearer than the first one because you repeat what you were trying to remember yesterday, right? Up to now to yesterday. But sometimes maybe in between you still remember there's some detail you forget and then you put it more there, right? But very interesting, but you do quicker. Okay. You might be take just one, maybe the first time you did, it takes you half day to finish yesterday, right? To remember whole yesterday. But now, the second time when you do it maybe just only half hour you finish. Not only you finish half hour, you rewind, but you still add some new thing there, like what you dreamt when you remember, right? For example, just say that. That's why we always encourage people when you practice you're younger. Because you need to rewind. Basically, our learning, teaching, 1 week at least, very clear what 1 week did. Every moment you can rewind. After 1 week, then you jump to every 1 week, what you did 1 week. And then you can jump to the big event like 1 month, okay? If you have more time, do it more clear, okay? Even the second, the past week, a week before, you need to rewind very clear as the whole week. But you don't have to depend on your time. So, and also depend how much time you have and blah, blah, blah. But what I want to say, that's you need. This is how from there onward, actually you start to know yourself much more. Oh, now I know why I hate this food. Now I know why I don't like this. Why? Because when you were a child, when you were young, you always affected by something that makes you become, that's how you respond in different way.
Question.
Yes.
When you do this reflection,
yeah.
Is it kind of like from the sense of your memory? And you know how when you reflect back on your memory, it's constantly changing. Even if I think about my, current memory now, a minute later versus like tomorrow when I reflect on this exact moment, because of our perceptions, we constantly.
No, you don't.
It's not reliable.
I don't think so. No, no, I don't think.
Memory.
This is a problem. The West sometimes they think memory is not reliable. It's not true. Certainly, memory is reliable, but of course, there are some memory might not necessarily not unreliable. That's another question. I don't want to answer that bad. Yeah, just back to what the meditation technique is saying. So, of course, as I say, if you remember that this is the first time you do the meditation and remember yesterday, right? When I say remember yesterday, it must be right now, up to even before I was here, okay? Up to yesterday, let's say. Up to day before yesterday, I was going to sleep. That's what your target. Now, certain thing that is definitely true to you. You know what is true to you? What your mind thinking is true to you. Maybe at first, you don't think so. You think, I don't think it that way. Maybe it's not. But when you invest, that's the reason why this kind of process has to go 1 and 2 and 3. And that's the reason why you need a concentration. You need concentration is not just because, depends on what concentration you have, but the reason why you need a concentration is not just because you can focus longer, it's because your mind is purer. When your mind is purer, you don't want to cheat yourself. Because we always trying to, if your mind is not pure, you try to always beautify yourself by, ignoring the fact, whatever, right? That's the reason. Now, don't forget also why this process come to this stage only on the second purification of the insight meditation, or you could say the fourth, not the third one. Because from the third one, you started to look at your physical and your mental in a true way already, okay? You have learned how to look at your physical body and your mental in a true way, not deceiving it. Not like, oh, I don't like this feeling. No, you should observe why I have this feeling, right? Now, this is about present, right? But on this stage, it's about past. Get it now? No,
I'm following you, but I'm also thinking there's a lot of psychology from the Western world that intersects here, and you say, why not just journal and read back on your journal?
No, but the phone, even though, now of course, that in old days there's no psychology, but here it's not just purely psychology because you have a really vigorous training before that you observe your feeling, your mind, the way that it is. For example, you sit there when you feel anger, you don't deny your anger, you just look at your anger. And you are able to look at any kind of mind. You're jealous, you're angry, you feel upset, you want to cheat people, you want to cheat yourself and all. Sometimes it's a fact there, but you still learn because somehow we will protect ourselves in the childhood, whatever. So you do, but you see, this is why, this involves a lot of Buddhist theory. Since this is a short thing, just to give you a guideline, this kind of meditation is in the earlier stage already. That's what we saw the third part, the third purification. When it comes to the fourth purification, it's nothing to do with that. You go through that already. It's about you can trace back to your past. Okay. So it's not like right now what happened to you and right now how they are dependent on each other and how your mind, why you suddenly for example, like a lot of people, they feel, oh, my feet is pain, so it might be affect my emotion. So I think that's always a true thing. But you have to investigate. Sometimes it affects your emotion, sometimes it doesn't affect your emotion. And then this is the present thing, it's nothing to the past. But when you do this kind of thing, you start to trace back to the past, everything. Now back to my subject, because as I say, this is not, you can write 100 books, so that's why I'm not here to, there's no way I can explain everything. That the main point is, when you can do that, and then now you must be able to, that's why I say it depends on how strong your jhana is, then you'll be able to trace back when you're in mother womb. You have to trace back. From the mother womb, you could feel how you feel in your mother womb. From the mother womb, because you still can know, it's beyond language, because this is why in very beginning you learn meditation, you know direct understanding. It's not the language. You just know how you feel. The feeling is beyond language, right? And from the mother womb, you might be suddenly feel something, the warmness there, and maybe your mom eats something, you feel different thing, even though you don't know what your mom ate. And this is how then you trace back, this is more difficult, your past life, how you die in the past. That link it to this form. This is how Buddhists understand. This is how you must. That's why usually at least 1 week you need to do that, at least. But if you're older, a longer time, I guess, because the gap is long. But also, please understand, my version of saying only just based on this technique. It doesn't mean this is the only technique. But according to this scheme, the 7th purification, the 5th purification, it was addressing. I need to back to what we are saying in the book, addressing that people, because they can trace this thing, of course they then, based on the presentness, they build up this kind of skill and they can see the future. But don't forget, we don't believe future is determined. The future is changing, is every time to do with the present, what kind of mind you have. Okay, so this is why it said, according to Buddhism, actually the person, because given the tradition in India, everybody believes in a creator God. Everybody, even by born, especially thinking about now, we are talking about 2,600 years ago, the Buddha's time. Not even more than time, 2,600 years ago. So at that time, only that time, you start to remove that you believing in that, because you could see actually everything is just because of cause and effect, not because of being creator. I mean, that's how you, because Buddhism is believing, Buddhism do not believe in creator God, believing in gods, but not creator God. Right? So that's the way then, this is how, I mean, deep down they remove that kind of believing. Otherwise, in this earlier stage, in jhana, in whatever stage, you still can believe whatever, that's fine. But according to Buddhist understand, if the people in this state, they still believe that is a little bit dubious. How come? Because if you come to that state, somehow you have a clear answer by yourself already. Otherwise, you still somehow culturally, like especially 2,600 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, of course, that kind of belief still carry with you, because it's long time, been there a long time. Anyway, that's another, but of course, that's also have a lot to talk. That's why I just want to give us a gist. And then that's not enough. Actually, you remove certain things and you understand dependent origination, or you could say understand in a way. Then in the next stage, what you have to do is that you can understand everything that you're observing, always not as just now what we were just saying, but everything that's what you are saying, it's always go with the either they are suffering, either they are no self, either they are, so what I mean by no self mean you think you can control it, you don't. So either there are no self, either there's a suffering, or either there's an impermanence or a changing, something like that. That's what you see. Everything in the package is always like this. And when your mind is up to that kind of perceiving, of course, to a lot of people, it's very weird. I mean, especially if you never learn. Maybe people were afraid they don't want to do it anymore. But of course, to Buddhism is really good, because once you are going there, your perception started to, you're unfolding a different reality to you. First, the reality to you is about you, that you understand in a different way, your physical body and your mental. But then later on, the reality to you is not just because of I as my body and my mental in a different way, but also even including my past, that I can reverse what you just back to your say. Something you think that actually I did that time, I was out of kindness, but actually you were not, maybe you were out of jealousy, Something that you start to reverse a lot of things, that you start to correct your view. In not correcting because you're changing your view. By changing your view mean, by developing the view mean because you see the truth, what is it really truly there. So, and you unpackage a thing is more about, you could say the memory, how you look at a memory, if you put it in the modern term. But the memory in relation to your, also you, okay. Now, that is still would not qualify a person to gain enlightenment. It just call it that, according to the Buddhist system. Actually, all the schools say the same thing. There's no any other school say differently. Even we said in the book, there were different scheme, right? But they also say they might have a little technically change in the technique. Anyway, that's a. As I say, this you can write many 100 books. I don't want to say in detail. So, and the next one is that you are able actually to start to see everything, anything, including you're reading a book, whatever. To you, it's not the book, but become everything just impermanent or so forth.
So what stage are you referring to now?
That would be the fifth stage. Yeah. Because of that, your mind was, maybe put it other word. Your mind is pure, so pure, not pure because of jhana. Remember, the jhana is a different thing. Your pure is because your view, okay, changing. And the view as the correct view, it is changing. So that pure view will remove what? These bad defilements. Now, that's interesting. So we still have the defilements go with us. When we see something nice, we still want it. The same thing, the respond there. But when your view becomes so strong, the mind have this kind of pure view so strong. When you see something that you want it, that respond, let me how to say, you don't respond as the way, like even when you are in a the third stage that you know you have that kind of no. This craving, that response become impermanent. Just the craving is just arise and gone, like that. It's different because what protect you. That's why the sutta say very clearly. Ultimately, what protect you from all the problem, not because you samadhi, it's because your wisdom, your insight. Actually, here we usually always say the word panya. So the panya always go with what? The one always come with what? The panya. That's why the panya, the word panya means wisdom. We translate the wisdom always when you have the three sides, or sometimes some traditions say four sides. That is, we just say the impermanence, the no self, the suffering, or emptiness. But the Pali tradition don't emphasize the emptiness. I will say that later, explain later why. They only emphasize these three. So then these three will help you to, your will, when your will be established, becomes so strong, and you also start to see anything appear on it will just drop. This is why you say that when you come to drop, when they cease to be like everything gone, and the people would think, oh, I attend Arahant. Attend like a Buddha. So that time, his body light. Well, we have a joke usually. We want to see whether the person is having a good karma or not. So, you know, in old day, the meditation center in Kuti, what we call Kuti in our meditation center, a little hut, we don't have anything. We only have the lamp. But usually at night, you have to close the lamp. You just choose do a meditation. And also traditionally, we believe that actually the best part of your meditation is also when you wake up at 3 o'clock, okay? And also the best part is also before you go to bed, kind of like when you're able to fight over after 9 o'clock to sleeping, and then you meditate until 11 o'clock. So you maybe start to sleep 11 to 2:30 like that. So I mean, this is I'm saying the tradition, but this is it's not included here. But I think that tell the story. It's that if you see suddenly the room full of the light, you know he's on this stage now. The person that time somehow the body will just issue kind of light. And if in his past karma is great karma, the light come out like a sun, like a Buddha, of course. It's cycle. But if your karma is really little, it's like a little star. If your karma was passing, you're like a moon, very. So it's always joking that when you see, oh, there's a light there, and then you know he's on that stage. Not only that, even if that people sitting in meditation, because in certain time, if you're in a meditation hall, people say, I don't want to sleep. Because when you work on that part, usually you don't sleep that much. You don't even sleep, maybe just 2-3 hours. I guess the maximum would be 3 hours. So I believe, okay. So anyway, one day you reach there, you will tell me. Shall we finish here? And let me see where we did. And I just want to say, here it's very clear that actually a lot of people think they can enlightenment. They are not yet. Though they see the ceasing, but they are not yet. They must know there's a craving still attached to them. There's a trick there. And then from there, you need to able to bring up your mind, okay? Not because of your pride carry with you. Even they meditate so good, up to that stage is very good already, but they still need to cross over there. Only when they cross over there, anyway, you go to another kind of thing. So back here, that means basically that time when you cross over there, then whole thing that what you develop, of course, firstly you see the Nibbana, that's for sure. And then the other thing that you started to see, how did you practice? The whole thing, how it going. You just almost like, you read a good book, you just go through everything again. But in a really, then you know that you are there and you could check what kind of thing is still there, what kind of thing is not there. This is how you become so-called the first level of Zenhood. Yeah. Okay, this is mean that the stages are they? Yeah. I guess, but here the simile is saying that, the simile is saying that because only when he abandoned the kind of light, the simile of the snake here, is because he still don't know there's a snake still there. So that's why he need to really that time to check the craving is still sustained. So only at that time he's so so how to say, upset, not upset, no, it's a strong word. It's appalled, kind of appalled with that kind of thing. Like you catch a snake and you thought it's a fish and oh, it's a snake. So that's why I say that two frank moment and the third moment you become the first sainthood, like that. You complete through that first craving. This is how I attain the first level of sainthood. This is how the Buddhists actually, if you talk about meditation system in a full set, or you would say this is how it's supposed to be. Yeah, it's not, as I say, if you really back to the Buddhist meditation, I always say it's not, of course we are not denying that useful, not just say, okay, you know, I want to be good, and that's okay, everybody have their own choice, but from Buddhists, when they really want to be, say they want to get enlightenment, they have to go through this, the process. Yeah. Okay, now, yes.
Sorry.
Oh, we actually time is over. Okay, you can ask a little question. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I think this is simple. On page 190, the last paragraph, it
Mhm.
talks about the 10 qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And then it refers to it as the 10 defilements of insight. I don't quite understand when you're developing insight, why is there 10 defilements associated with insight? And especially the last quality, like attachment, normally
Yeah.
you don't associate that with.
No, that's something. It's a refined one, because you have the light. You feel so content. You feel wonderful. Everything is almost like you have gone through, and of course, then that's the reason why then that person would think he's attained enlightenment. He's believing he attained enlightenment. That is attachment. The believing in attainment. That's the reason why I said if really people attend that, they will never tell you. No. Of course, they may tell you for different occasion because you are about there or what they can tell you. Because the people may stop to doubt whether you're saying it right. He say, don't worry, I have gone through that. Just check whether it's like that. They may tell you only on that occasion. Otherwise, they don't tell you. No.
So are all 10 of these
Yeah.
qualities defilements that at that stage you have to let go to move
Yeah.
on to?
That's why the let go is mean they have to look at the end. Those are like a snake. That they thought they catch something good, actually it's not, it's the snake. Because that's why you say the attachment. Yeah.
What is lesser attainer of the stream? Like, what is that in Chinese? Or what is that? That's on top of page 180. Beginning of page 180.
180.
190. Lesser attainer of the stream.
就是出果, that's 出果相. I don't know how.
One in the book.
Yeah. No, lesser attainer of the stream is 孙比须陀洹, 应该是须陀洹相.
像
Yeah.
像须陀洹
Yeah, I mean he's about to attain. He's usually when people are understand the fifth stage, okay, they can be the lesser attainer of the stream already.
That was fourth purification.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When people have overcome the doubt, they can be the lesser attainer of the streamer. Yeah. Okay.
So the first stage is good conduct. Second stage is calm meditation, like basically down.
No, what do you mean? The second one is called the purification of consciousness. Are you saying that? What are you reading? I don't know.
Yes, purification of consciousness.
Yeah, that the conscious means the jhana.
That's the jhana.
The all about jhana. Yeah.
Okay, and then the third one
The
is
purification of the will.
right. Is that what we learn in the
Insight meditation, they usually begin with that. Yeah.
But we didn't really learn about taking apart five aggregates, sixth sense, and other respective objects. Like we're like doing like body, feeling, mind.
Yeah, that's the body and mind.
Actually, they talk about it all the way up till number 6 at the retreat. Actually,
Yeah, no, I remember.
No, if you, I think I give a talk there also.
Yeah.
Like
You
a
gave
brief
a
one.
talk.
No, I don't think you did they say the brief one? I don't think so.
No.
Briefly.
No, I give a talk about this a few times already. I don't remember. I don't remember this. So no. So this is why I said, according to the Pali, of course, whatever tradition is another other thing, but they definitely for insight that something that it's very simple, as I say, to understand you and your mind, and how that actually, what is the reality of that, or maybe not reality or whatever you need to. It's not Earth give you answer. You have to just see and see and see, and then you're able to trace to the past. No, and then you're able to trace to the response. And sometimes they will give you some idea. They are like impermanent, but people think, oh, I achieve. No, you don't achieve impermanent yet. Not like that. It has to really go a lot. You need to unfold a lot of things up to the last point. Everything you see is very strange. Your idea don't have any idea, just impermanent suffering. And this is not people giving you. You just know it's that like that. Whole day, 2 days, 3 days, any day, you could just stay in that. Yeah.
Do you only focus on one of the objects or all three?
Not everything. No. You definitely know the three things, but something can be your prominent feature. You definitely know the three things, but if something can be prominent. Sometimes you feel the suffering more, sometimes you feel the impermanent more, sometimes you feel the no self more. But somehow, I don't know how to explain. Somehow one thing is much more, you can tackle much better. Yeah. I mean, I won't say tackle, it's still much longer or much more handy. Yeah. I guess we time now, and thank you for your patience, and then I think our last this year the last discussion will be on November, 2 weeks from now, and that will be the end of this year discussion, because then I will be travel and then and so forth. But anyway, it would be nice that when you have time, because we hope that next time we finish this path, the Buddhist path, and then also go to a little bit in earlier time. I mean, I'm sure one thing, whether you fully understand or not, I mean, there's no such a thing called fully understand. Even sometimes when I read, I forgot he say this slide too, like that. And I mean that always you find, as I say, I always encourage, I know a lot of way, because I used to teach also in the college, in Buddhist college, and there I always say actually, just begin a good book. Give you a, you don't need to learn the detail. Sometimes when you start to learn the detail, you forget everything, because you get lost. You just have this big picture, and then that's very, don't see it so simple, but it does really give you a very good foundation. Then you know almost every Buddhism aspect already, the important aspect of Buddhism. That's the main thing. All right, thank you, and I will see you next time. Okay, thank you. And you are going to say the transfer marriage, because Sagaran, that's not. Say Chinese, anything. 回向给什么? Or English better, maybe.
Yeah, better.
This is English, sorry, no Chinese.
Let's transfer the merit to all the sentient beings that who have been keeping company with us studying the Buddha Dharma.
Okay, sadhu. Thank you.